experience about Russia's bad roads. We've got with us Professor William Kraft Brumfield, photographer and author of a number of works on Russian architecture with us. So you've traversed many a bumpy Russian highway in your time, I know that. You've written many books on it and taken many pictures of them. But really, is Russia's bad reputation thoroughly deserved? How bad are those roads?
Well, they're bad. There's no question about that. I think you also have to take in mind the fact that Russia is an enormous country, to state the obvious. And how are you going to serve all of the people who live on that territory? Certain very difficult decisions have to be made. But the roads are bad, and there needs to be a national program to direct that. I think people have spoken about such a program, but so far it hasn't really accomplished.
I guess, of course, Russia as well suffers from huge temperature variations, pluses of 40 down to minuses of 50 in the Omicron area. You so that's an awful lot of maintenance needs to be done all the time, isn't it?
But Canada seems to cope with similar conditions quite well. So I think it's a matter of priorities. Again, the Russian distances are simply beyond any other comparison. And that clearly is an issue. But then the population that lives in certain restricted areas, and there I think is even a larger problem. What about roads between major population centers? They're a disaster.
How big of a problem is that? I mean, I recently drove from St. Petersburg down to Moscow. I've got to say I was quite surprised myself at the state of the road. There are plans to improve that. What's your take on that?
Well, I recently, perhaps I'm the only American ever to do this, I recently took the bus from Petersburg to Moscow. And I think part of the problem here is the well-developed railroad system. But it's going to be a long time before even the two major centers of the country.
Describe for our viewers that haven't done these trips, that haven't been out and about, really what it's like.
Well, the roads are not only very difficult to navigate, even between major population centers, and there are certain exceptions, of course. There's a good road to the south, to Tula, but basically, even between places such as Moscow and Petersburg, they're not only difficult to navigate, very bumpy, but they're also dangerous. And I think that is that's an issue that's still debated as to who's responsible for the condition of the roads that exist. I think it's going to be a long time before this issue is settled, how to address it, and there is no clear cure in my mind in sight.
Exactly, because I guess the people with the money are saying, why throw millions of dollars, millions of rubles at a road that's only serving 5 people down the end of a track in a village? But, you know, you're saying there that Canada's doing a lot better, America's doing a lot better, you've written books about that as well. America's also a vast country with little villages. How do the two compare, Russia and America, for instance?
Well, America's had a concerted program for many years. After all, it's the land of the automobile. A concerted program to develop road system. There was a famous interstate highway system that was begun in the 1950s. What you need is a national plan, put the resources behind it. And you need lobbies, quite frankly, that are going to support that with the legislature. This is not an easy process, but it can be done. The pieces haven't fallen into place here in Russia.
Back to Russia, why do you think that drive has not happened? Why do you think the impetus isn't there? Do you think it's going to change?
Well, I think people have gotten so used to going by train, doing everything by train, shipping freight by train, and I think that emphasis is still there. And there may be good reasons for it, but you can't, the country's economy cannot exist without a well-developed road network. It just can't happen. And I think there's going to have to be some sort of major focus. Among all the competing priorities and problems, there's going to have to be some focus on a national road system.
As you see it, when's crunch point going to come then, here in Russia?
I think it's already here. I think it's already here. You look at that road between Petersburg and Moscow, the number of trucks on that road, the number of almost impassable sites, even on that road.
Let's just talk about your travels. You've been living here in Russia for 5 years now. What inspires you to do this very quickly, and how long are you going to be carrying on your travelling?
Forever. I mean, Russia is a fascinating place. There's always something at the end of the road.
It's good to see you. Thanks for coming to the studio today. Make it one piece on those roads. Good to see you, Professor.